Hello, everyone. How are you? It's been a while. German October movie is coming soon, so everybody can rest easy about that. Hi, Earth Mapping. Thanks for the W. Yeah, like there's so much I want to talk about with this. It's hard to even really know where to start. But I guess I'll just start by giving the story. I've been a long time. It's hold on. It's supposed to be there. Ooh. There you go. So, I've been a long time Tommy K fan, and I'm always a huge fan of Megacampaigns. So when I saw his, I was really excited. But then everyone knows where this is campaign Tommy High Void, and it just wasn't being published. Marco explains it in the intro to the Victoria 2 video. But when I saw the Victoria 2 video, I was very excited to see that they were doing Hearts of Iron. And I'm like, okay, well, I want to help. Put me in. I want to help make this lore. So, yeah, that's what we're doing. I want to be focusing on getting the lore set up for Hearts of Iron 4. And it sounds easy, but the more that you look into it, the more complicated it gets. I think a good way to show that is the method that I've had to use to try to even understand what the map looks like. Yes, YAP sessioning, it's called mapping YAP for a reason, right? So like at the beginning I literally had to take screenshots of, well, these were like uploaded by my partner. And then I stitched these all together just so that we could even take a look about what's going on. Like the Byzantines managed to take out the Teubids. They're only in Georgia and Constantinople somehow. China's still divided, which is crazy. And then we didn't have anything up here or here, so I had to fill in the blanks. And neither here too, right? Because it's just like him just looking at it at the very end of the Victoria 2 video, right? So it's like, oh no, what do we do about this? Well, I am very happy to tell you that we actually somehow recently, like when I was getting this stream set up, wanted to look at the Victoria 2 thing, we actually have the Victoria 2 save here. So, hooray, yippee, look, the USA is in this ridiculous place here. We have all the borders as they were when the campaign ended, which is like an amazing resource, right? This is so good. It carries over everything from Crusader Kings. There's even like Arcard's Saxony here in Germany still. Like there's so many cool things here. The more you look, the more interesting it is. The cultures are here, so we're going to be able to like take reference for where these conflicts are going to arise. Like the Dutch would claim Calais, the French would claim Luxembourg, the Germans would claim Alsace-Lorraine, no surprise there, and even Outer Lorraine here, right? Awesome. Like, what's the problem? Okay, so the problem is, oh, it's a windowed, sorry. So here, Canada is Iroquois. And it's like, okay, well, why does that matter? I don't believe they were supposed to be Iroquois. In my experience using EU4 to Victoria 2 converters, they don't really know how to set up the primary culture of the custom country. So they go based off of the majority population of the state through an event. And that is unreliable, and then it causes things like the former Dominion of Canada from the Saxon colony being Iroquois. And we could be like, oh, because this is a mega campaign, we could just be like, oh, well, actually, when the Saxons colonized this, they were doing it just as a protectorate in the north, right? I'm just going to blow my nose. Yeah, sorry about that. So, what was I saying? It's just like I blew out all of my knowledge. So we know that the Saxons just colonized here directly. Like the first landfall of the Saxons was here in this island. I think it's Anticosti or something in Victoria 2, and then it was New Hala, right? Like, this is the first major colony, right? But it's nice that all these city names are here. We'll be able to take these into the the Hearts of Iron 4 campaign, but then like there's just a lot of these issues. Like Australia, somehow it's like, I don't even know what Janubi is. It's ridiculous, really. And then here we have New Zealand, Australian, but the cultures aren't particularly great. This is basically the takeaway. Like, there's a lot of stuff that we can glean from this information. It's really helpful. Like, look at how big this Mongol culture map is. That's insane. I want to do something with this. In fact, I want to see... Is this the Russia tag? Nope. No, that's the thing with Victoria 2. You can't even... You need to like go into the files to know what the tag of the country is. So I would need to like leave the game and go back in. But I'm pretty confident that the population of these Mongolian regions are pretty high in Mongol and Russia. Like, there might be more Mongols in Russia than there are. Well, maybe not. These seem to be populated areas. But my point is that the converters only get you so far. And then on top of that, there's also the... like maybe things that could have been improved with the transition from EU4 to Victoria 2 that just weren't done, because Victoria 2 is a very hard game to mod. I've tried it myself, so I don't blame the guy at all. Just nice to look at all these things here. It looks like this Occitan thing is like the Outremer, the Crusaders over here, which is cool. India's been basically untouched. Oh, but Castile has a colony here. I think it's the only European colony in this area. It's nice to see the... Oh, wait, what is this? Oh, the British and the Dutch have it too. That's good to know. I guess it's good to look at the sphere map mode too. Tommy obviously went hard with the spheres here. And yeah, so these are the great powers. All good stuff to know, right? But this is a lot of like yapping, a lot of like trying to understand where we're even at. So I guess we can go back to Photoshop and then go to the QBAM. So these are just really rough ideas. Obviously nobody take anything to heart really, but I imagine that the sphere of influence of America, at least at the beginning, is this, because you can even see in the Victoria 2 save that's what they were going for. The Byzantines would somehow manage to get... Oh, yes, because this is like a majority Greek area. If we go back to Victoria 2. Here, it's actually like majority Greek. Yeah. And it could even be, it's a Byzantine core. I think what happened here is because I think Nova Carthago existed as its own nation before this. Nova Carthago had like a nationalist revolts to Byzantium, which is like going really crazy. And the fact here, the culture map mode is so divided between Greek and Turk is so cool. Like, this is one of the best parts of how the converter ended up. Anyway, I digress. We have a situation here where the Byzantines went... Oh, that's not the right... The Byzantines went really hard. And we have to figure out a World War I. This might be a little getting ahead of myself, so I'm just going to hide this. Bloop. I really want a Khanate of some kind, but I don't think that we'll do that either. I thought about Japan being like the person who filled the void in China, but I'm starting to think that we might even have the Mongols fill the gap in China. I think in the lore, they didn't even end up conquering China at all. Like, just due to the way that the Mongol invasions happened differently. So it could be like the first iteration of the Yuan dynasty. I don't know how to pronounce it, but the Mongols could conquer here, and then due to like similar culture, they want to like embrace all these other people too. So we have a pretty big Asian empire here. Then the problem is they also have to balance it so that Tommy K doesn't have to naval invade like China and then go all the way to Karakoram just to capitulate the guy. Yo, Lord Dad, it's Legis. No way it happened. I know, it's crazy. I'm so excited. it's really hard to know where to even begin, because I just have so many things I want to talk about and so many things I want to show. But I think that what we need to do, and what this stream is all about, is getting the timeline all sorted out. Now, let's see. Let me just gather my thoughts. So, what we could do, if we really wanted to be simple with this, is we could go into the Victoria 2 game, find a way to go observer. Like, I think there's an event that I could trigger because of the way that it works. I could, like, become John Mayan and then become the observer and then just see what happens and then just convert it from Victoria 2 to Hearts of Iron 4 with their converter. And maybe we will actually be doing something like that in order to help us get started with the Hearts of Iron 4 mod, but it's not really enough, right? For example, this is the American culture map mode. Extremely uniform. Amerikaner, and there's like a little bit of Yankee. That's weird. Could you go have the Chinese state near Burma and Tibet? Mongyang, this one. Shan by Tibetan Theravada. This is Durgan Shids. These are also Buddhist. And Shan. Yeah, like this area just, like, I think in every iteration of the campaign, China just exploded. So I need to find a way to unite China, and that isn't just China. Sorry, I should have muted my mic for that one. Yeah, I get sick like basically every week. It really sucks. I'm looking forward to when my children's immune systems are developed enough that I don't have a new illness coming into my body every single time they go to school. So that's going to be fun when that happens, but it's going to be a while. But yeah, this is Mongyang. Their cores are over here. Mongyang started to unite China, but fail after the South happens. So we get a Korea-like situation. What do you mean the South happens? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Like if they try going down here, is that what Korea tried to do way back when? Why is... Oh, Japan puppeted Korea, right? Satellite Japan. Okay, thank God. I thought it was the other way around. That'd be crazy. I'm not too sure about the Korean situation or history, but I think it would be nice to like try to make a stronger nation here. That's the cool thing about Megacampaigns. You can do something like that. Anyway, so what was I saying? Right. Oh, so it looks like North and South Korea. Oh yeah, maybe. It would make sense for the Mongols to take this upper area and then like maybe dividing line in the river. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. And you could even have them fight. There's something I kind of wanted to do similar with Andalusia and Castile, but I might be getting a little bit ahead of myself with that. Anyway, so we could just convert this directly over to Hearts of Iron 4, but it's missing some of the like plot points that were established before. So you go over to nationality, everything is assimilated into American. This is working as designed when it comes to Victoria 2. But if you look here, there's like the Louisiana core, right? This might be a converted... This was the colony of Louisiana before it got conquered. And I think we can... Let's see if we can try to release it so we can see what the cores are. I'll read your comment in a second. Louisiana. Let's do play as. Why not? Okay, so this is Louisiana. And see, it has no culture, right? But Louisiana, this colony... was actually where the Andalusians were, and I don't know if this will work if I resign this game. The blue state over Shanghai. Okay, good, it worked this time. This is the start of the beginning. So this is 1836. This is where Tommy started, right? You can see here Andalusian, right? Andalusian. All these people here are Andalusian, and then this is the Louisiana colony. Tommy had this western part and then expanded that way. conquered over the Andalusians. In fact, it's a little funny thing here. Population. Oh, he was looking at one state. That's unfortunate. There are some states that are majority Muslim. In fact, let me see here. Is this... How do I... This is Ard al-Jihad. Oh, that's cool. Ard al-Jihad. Yeah, see, so this is a majority Muslim state. So, like, this entire region getting assimilated, I mean, yeah, it could have happened, but is that really what we want to do? We had this entirely really well-written thing about how there's a cultural divide between the German north and the Andalusians in the south and the Turks. There's a lot of Turks here. Holy crap. Oh, wait. What is this? Balanringian. They had the same culture. That's unfortunate. And then here, too, like, this is a core of Canada. Why isn't it a core of, like, the Turkish minority? Because the way that it works in Victoria 2, you have your nationalities. If there's a country that has a core on a place and their primary culture is a culture, that culture will not be assimilated by their populations. But because the way it was coded, the USA just assimilates everything. And it's like, okay, so we can't use that data. So what is the difference here? So you said, what's that blue state over Shanghai? I don't see it in here right now. So I'm going to resign and then load up the save. So where were you saying? The heaven. Oh, this is the Heavenly Kingdom. Okay, that's interesting. No cores. That's very interesting. It's interesting to see like the civilization progress. What do we have here? Isn't there a civilization level? So Shanghai almost in Fujian almost westernized. That's pretty interesting. Notably, the nomadic areas here, which I was hoping to have Unite China, haven't westernized, but who's to say they can't? And then there's Liberia here. There's no reason for Liberia to be here, really. Like, I don't know. Anyway, I'm kind of getting sidetracked. My point is that there's a lot of things that we can improve. So what can we improve and how can we do it? So that's the main question of this series here. This stream at least. Do something interesting with Yi. The orange one over Dali. Let me see. I'm looking at it on my own here. Its primary culture is Yi, and there's only a little bit of areas nearby. I mean, it could be interesting to see if we could like have this region of China just be multicultural. But yeah, I'll consider that. Thanks for that suggestion. But anyway. What I want to talk about is how we can improve this campaign. Like, what can we do and what can we add that helps set up interesting dynamics for the game? Since there are several majority Muslim areas in the USA, which I will draw out just really roughly. Where's my... I had this drawing pad. It's like the perfect time to use it, and I don't have it. Or if I do, it's layered upon layered of stuff. Regardless, let's just get back into this. So these are like the Muslim majority areas of America. And then keep in mind this, like the very beginning of this game, like the USA controlled all this territory, but most of this here was just uninhabited. Right, so this is like who lives here, nobody knows. It's people who migrated from Europe, right? That's just the way that the USA worked in our history. But if we have it so that the South is rising up against the North, it's like, oh no, well, is it a Muslim issue? The problem is that it was coded to be exactly like the USA in Victoria 2, which is just the CSA, and it's the Dixie. But I don't think they even had any primary culture because of the way that the mob was made. You see the problem here? Like, there's just issues with the way it was coded, which made it so that we had to figure this out. So it's like, it's nice, but it's not nice. I'll try to get back on topic though. So is it a slave issue? Yes. Was it like because of the laws that these like was Andalusia a slave based nation in this history? Maybe it was. and then the USA just became slave free. So then what can we use as a way to set up an interesting dynamic for the campaign? And I have an idea for this already. I'm not sure if I'll be able to do this without doxing myself, so I'm just going to triple check that I don't have anything before I share my primary screen. Okay, so this is like a source document. I'm not going to share everything else because like I don't want to share my friend's work without his permission. But here we have like a lot of well, not this place, in some areas. So we have really high Muslim areas in the United States, and in this campaign, the Civil War ended in 1868, and I think that this is like pretty close to when the American Civil War happened in our history too. But here's the thing: the way that the American Civil War ended, I want to search this on a separate thing here. There was a period of Reconstruction, right? So there's the Reconstruction era of the United States. This was after the Civil War, and it was all about how the Northern Yankees were occupying the South to try to make their laws, the very ethical laws of banning slavery and other things, in the South. And people cite this in whatever way you want, other side of the aisle, like, oh, it was terrible, oh, it was good. But the point is that it was just a really hard time for America right after the Civil War. Like, the Civil War was only the beginning of the problem. And the way that it resolved was eventually they just decided, you know what, we can't be bothered to properly deal with this. So after a couple people started to try to figure out the problem in different ways, like Lincoln died, his vice president, who was like Dixie sympathetic, started to like reverse some of the policies. Or no, was it the other way around? He was like anti. Regardless, there was like a big political divides, but eventually, because of the weird legality of the 1876 election in the states in the South and the states in the North having different people they voted for, they essentially made a compromise where, in order to avoid a civil war, the Southern Democrats would recognize the Republican president, but in exchange they were given a free hand in the South, which is why like Jim Crow laws existed, and then 90 years later there was the civil rights movement to try to get rid of it. So like 3 or 4 generations of people were disenfranchised or whatever because of this decision. So what do we have here? We have a situation where there's actually a clip in the video here, where in the video of the Victoria 2 campaign, where there's a huge Confederate uprising. So it's either because the compromise failed or because it happened, there's no compromise. So then we have a radical Reconstruction. So what can we do with this information? If we're going to go with a radical Reconstruction USA, what does that look like? What sort of dynamics happened in the South for us to need to do a radical Reconstruction? What did it look like? But then there's also the other question. What if Lincoln, the guy who was running the show, or whoever the German equivalent of Abraham Lincoln would be, what if he wasn't assassinated like Abraham Lincoln was in our history? I've actually recently, and take me with a grain of salt on this, because of what was being said about, like in my Discord channels, Abraham Lincoln actually was wanting to have Liberia, like the black populations sent to Liberia to alleviate potential conflict in the South. It seems like he was actually kind of moderate. He just wanted the situation to quickly, like the House to stand again instead of focusing on ideals or whatever. I need to do more research, so I don't want to say for sure. But if we don't necessarily go with a radical Reconstruction thing, I know Tommy said that he wanted to make a colony in Africa. So like, okay, well then what's the deal with that? Why would they even need a colony? America didn't need colonies until they fought the USA over Cuba, and then because they fought the USA over Cuba. They got the Philippines because that was a Spanish acquisition. What was this? You may give Constantinople to the Roman Empire so the Turks can go to USA. Even more Muslims there. Yeah, that's a good point. And I think that that's totally what would happen. I actually already had an idea regarding that, which we can get to in a little bit. I just wanted to establish what I had so far for before World War One, before the Scramble for Africa. So yeah, I definitely think like this situation, even the way that the conquests happened, like they would take Constantinople first. This place would fall apart in the east or whatever territory they had. These other places would run in. The Byzantines would push them back. They would try to maybe get endeavored to the Occitanians here and then start pushing down and just try to reconquer the Roman Empire. Like just obviously, right? But yeah, I agree. We should definitely have there's being a lot of Turks who, because of the success of the Byzantine Empire, just end up going over here. Which like all this is gone. Osman's landing, completely assimilated. What if the civil war is Muslims and natives versus the Germans? Yeah, that's possible, and I was considering that. But then there's also the element of like, is that really what we kind of want to go for? Because then it becomes like a religion conflict, and I don't know. It's all these things we definitely need to try to figure out. But I'm really interested in seeing it figured out because it could be really fun. I think what could be really cool is if there was like, because like everyone knows Canada has like Quebec, and then the rest of Canada being majority English speaking, right? Like it could be something like that where it's like special states for these areas. But then the United States is very big, settlers coming all over the place. Public system makes assimilation for immigrants easier. There'd be a lot of minorities, especially like if we're talking about Byzantine refugees. The Serbians would go into the Serbian areas over here. There's just a lot of different communities that would be showing up here, and I feel like it would be nice to find a way where there's a sort of understanding that's come between these two things. So like Tommy has to handle Muslim minority groups in his country, and then it determines their foreign policy, which I will get to in a bit. But anyway, concurrent 0. There's no way there's 0 people watching right now. I'm checking that for myself.
Muslim.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. Muslim. Okay, so we have the colonies here. So we have the British colonizing here. Let's take a look at Victoria too, actually. So we have the Byzantines colonizing. They managed to take their core territory and start going through here. The fact they even have this region makes sense that they would try to conquer this area and trying to link up with their colonies. So this expansion route makes sense, and we'll keep this in mind. Don't see them going too far deep in here just because of the way this Sahara works and the location of this. This is Berber, right? And Andalusia and this area, they're really closely combined. So I would even say that Andalusia manages to make a protectorate of this. Maybe Italy goes in further here and there's a conflict here. So that's interesting. Andalusia controlling this region. But then we have a pretty big blank check for what goes here. Castile owning like the Congo here, I like that. Germany would definitely need some colonies. Don't really know, maybe Tangiers. But then the problem is like how do they get there? So like going through here and here. So we have to figure this out a little more as we go. But once we figure out these colonies, then we can start figuring out, okay, well, which countries are actually like having fights? Who's fighting who and why? This is going to be something really important. So these are sort of the things I'm not entirely sure about as of yet, and I would love to get your guys' feedback. But I think that because of the Muslim minority regions somehow having an influence over the United States and their foreign policy, especially the Turks in Osman's Landing, which in the Victoria II campaign just got completely assimilated out, which I don't want. You could have it where there's a great war. The Byzantines own like all this territory, including the Green region, right? They're in an alliance potentially with Germany. This would be like post-war Germany here. But real Germany would be like, I think they'd even like finish off Austria, so they'd be something like this, like pretty big. The Hungarians would be like maybe it's even like the Austrian, I don't know. Getting a little ahead of myself, but the Hungarians are here. They want to take over this region. We have the Italians. I don't know what the Italians will be doing, but I know that the Byzantines will want them dead. So, because Roman Empire, right? So we have our first two members of the faction, but then who are they fighting? So we have the French, and I'm just going to spoil it for people. I think that the HRE should come back. The French controlled the HRE. They made the HRE. It got dismantled in a war that we barely know anything about. What if there was an attempt to restore the imperial borders of Charlemagne? It would give them an excuse to march into Germany, quote unquote, and then reestablish the border with the Saxon Imperium that they had going into EU4, right? So it would be around the Rhine, and it sort of lines up with the way that the Victoria II cultures were. I don't know. Yeah, I think it looks pretty similar over here to the way it ended up. So, yeah, as I mentioned before, there's these cultural tensions here and the claims against each other. So France would go up to the Rhine. Maybe the Netherlands are punished somehow. Not too sure, but I think that the French would be an ally of the Americans just against Germany, right? I also think that because of the really large Bergenslagen, like, very interesting dynamic here. Bergenslagen exists, and this Schmarland, or whatever it's called. Oh, really? It started when I looked at the at the beginning, and actually said that it was Swedish. I want to quickly show you guys what I mean. This is what I like. The way that Victoria II is supposed to be. Oh, what is this? Oh, it's the same. It's the same borders, but 18. Yeah. So we're gonna go here. Bergenslagen, Swedish, but because of the way that the mod works, it immediately just takes it out. So like, there's a bunch of Swedish nobility ruling in Småland, Bergenslagen and Denmark. There's Sjælland, I guess. They're pissed off because the Germans control Jylland. They would want to go in on Germany and unite Scandinavia. That's pretty interesting. We can use that to understand what's going to be happening in the World War. You know, if the Dutch and Germans fight side with another against agents that wait. Yes, I agree. I think that the... Oh, what is this? Is this really the... Have I really missed this Palatinate this whole time? I feel like that's like a bug. Anyway. Oh, yeah, it might be. Oh, never mind. So, I agree. I think that the Dutch being friends of the Germans makes sense. Photoshop. Okay. So, I might adjust this border a bit, but I'm pretty sure the HRE had a lot of Dutch territories, so that claim makes sense, right? So, the Germans and the Dutch are banding together, which means that the Dutch region's here and then Germany fighting here. So, the British... Oh, yeah, but with the British. So... It could be that the British are actually friends of the Americans, because, like, I forgot that the British had, like, nothing to do with Canada. That was all Saxony, right? My Canadianness is showing, I guess. There could be a Franz Joseph situation with the Dutch and France. You mean like the Austrian painter? Or not Austrian painter. The Austrian... the Austrian... Kaiser who got shot by a Serbian? I think that could work. Could even be that, like, the Dutch managed to take the, like, Calais because it's a majority Dutch, and then that becomes a problem. But anyway, Stream Dad, you mean Pog? Yeah, I like yapping. Like, I talk all the time. So it's nice to be able to talk. It's just, it takes a lot of energy. I don't know how Tommy does it, man. Yeah, so we could do something like that. And something I realized, I'm not really sure about this, and there's no way to really know. I think Poland was founded by a member of the dynasty here, right? Like the Kettle Huts. I think that a Kettle Hut founded Poland in EU4. I could be completely wrong, but I do think that it would be pretty interesting to have something like that. So let's look here. Poland doesn't have much core, or I mean, cultures here. Overnessian, excuse me. What's Overnessian? No way to know. Just there's no core here. Nobody has any claim to this territory. Lithuania Archduke. Yeah, it was Archduke. You're right. Sorry, just taking a breath to try to recenter. So we were trying to figure out who. Oh, I wasn't even showing you guys Victoria too. Sorry about that. Trying to figure out who's on whose side. I think the Finland thing is really funny, actually. Of how big Yarvaland is. It's Finnish. It's Finno-Ugric. Sami too. I'm not sure if Finland and Sami have much in common. But this is such a cute little country. I want to keep it. There's a lot of Estonians in St. Petersburg. It's very interesting. Okay. So we need to figure out who's who in the Great War, because who's who in the Great War determines literally everything else. And we have Russia, but like Russia is such a weird state, and I don't really feel like where are they? Did I even put them down here? No. Because of how much cultured land is like still Mongolian, and like how they're basically only limited to one Baltic port, I don't really feel like the Russians would even go as far as they did. But then again, they did go that far. So then what's the... Oh, I just had a big idea. I just had a really big idea. I'm going to double check that the chicken scratch ideas is here. What's Italy's role in the upcoming war? Would it be a hotbed or a French puppet state? Good question. I'm leaning towards like a French puppet state or even just annexed. So I want to put this chicken scratch idea here. The Russo-Japanese war equivalent is the Mongolians of the steppe fighting back the Russian colonizers, because of how substantially large their culture is here. Like, imagine trying to control this region. It's even, yeah, so look at this is an example. It's a core of Mongolia, right? This is why it's impossible for this place to assimilate, and it's impossible for the Russians to colonize here. But it is up here because nobody has a core here, and there's like what, 281 people working here. Like, Russia looks big, they're not that big. Russia with no natural borders, yeah, exactly. Oh, actually, they have Mariupol here, so I guess they could go through. And then they are Orthodox, so there'd be a connection with the Byzantine Empire. That's a good point. I need to note that down too. Okay, so we need to keep in mind that Russia would be extremely interested in being friends with Byzantium, given the fact that they're Orthodox. Russia is allied with Hungary, really? Yes, it is. Russia's allied with Hungary. Oh, okay. I might need to immediately scrap that, because if you look here, they have cores on Byzantium. Hungary doesn't have cores on Byzantium. Are you serious? I mean, yeah. Oh, here, there's Zirkland, Siegenbergen, Gypsyland. Okay. But the Romanians, they wouldn't. There'd be no Romania. They'd just be like, yeah, we're Byzantine too, bro, because they like literally think that they're Roman. It's literally Romania, right? Mongol Meiji Restoration. I don't. Okay, that's the new canon. Mongol Meiji Restoration. I approve. I'm turning down my mic because I think I'm. Oh God. Okay. Yeah, like having them have a sort of like big westernization moment would be good. The only way they'd be able to do that is if they actually had a port, which is why I think that out of all the chaos here, they did that. Oh, Solo Leo, thank you for continuing to be a channel member. What's Illyria doing on the map? Just vibing, I guess. Serbian, Bosniak, Moryak, Orthodox. Okay. Yeah, so they have all these regions like Court. I don't think they have more. What the heck is Morlock? I have no idea. Neo-Italian? What's a Neo-Italian? Hello? And there's like Latin here too. I don't really get that. Is it Court? Neo-Italian, South Italian, North Italian. They're Orthodox too. What? I imagine the Papal States weren't Orthodox. I need to look into that. What year would it be? Oh yeah, okay, let's look at this. The completely unused feature that's actually extremely useful for us now is the newspapers. These are all like really big Serbs, Croats, Bosnians, Turks, Bulgarians, Romanians, Albanians, and Greeks came together on Sunday to celebrate a great peace in which the Balkan Peninsula presently bathes. This is the most unrealistic thing in the world. Inexplicably high numbers of migrants are reported to have moved recently to the barren island of Jan Mayen. We are tired of all that noise, revealed one of the pioneers. Okay, that's just a big shitpost. The fears of Byzantine Empire. Yeah, they were right to be scared. Karakorum and Zungar. Yeah, so they were already fighting a lot. Neo-Italian Greco? I mean, maybe. Germany and Russia will take Poland to look better. Yes, I agree with that. That makes a lot of sense. Democracy in America. Yeah, so there's some like historical ones here. Second Great Awakening. Canada fears our might. Yeah, that sounds about right. War between France and Savoy. Foreign Minister of France. We only intend to reclaim... Okay, so they fought for cores. Fears of the Shun Dynasty. Well, there's so much here. Just trying to find British-German relations. Germany is our natural ally. Look at that. But that was really early. Let's try to go up here. Let's see what happened here. Kazakh relations, prices rise. Byzantine Empire expands. Yeah, these conquests were very recent. What is this? There was one about Netherlands. The rise of the Netherlands. So that must have been them becoming a great power. What do I plan to do with the United Kingdom, England? Oh, and by the way, do not apologize. This is the sort of thing I wanted to do when I wanted to do a stream. Is I wanted to get interested people to come in and chat and give ideas. So please, anybody who has any ideas or questions about the Victoria 2 save or what we can do with the campaign, let me know, because I really want to make this mega campaign end very well. Really big place in my heart for this project, and I really am excited to be able to work on it. I want to do it right. So anyway, what do I want to do with the British Empire? So because I'm so Canada pilled, I was like, oh, the British colonized Canada, so like Zimmerman telegram, Britain's like, come back to our sphere, and then the US annexes Canada, and then Britain is upset. But now I'm starting to think of it like the British might be in the winning side, like on the winning side. They could own the Philippines, because in Victoria 2 they started to conquer the Philippines. Let me show you. It's like one of the last things that Tommy ever noticed is that the British were here colonizing the Philippines. So the Europeans are slowly actually showing up. Oh, Andalusia, let's go. Andalusia has several colonies over here. Oh, what was this green nation? The West Indies. Afro-Caribino. It seems like there's a lot of Yeah, look at this. That's really cool. I want to unite all this into one country. Can we do that? Maybe we should do that. I think that could be pretty fun. There's reason on cultural map. What was this? Entire nation dies because YouTube commentators said the borders would look better. Yes. Yes, I would. This is not real. It's fiction. Oh, look at this Ashkenazi. That's like the okay. That's really interesting. Like, I don't even know how they. Was there seriously like a Ashkenaz state here? Okay, that's cool. A little Israel in Bratislava. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna write that down. Bratislavan, Israel. Like that's just too funny, and it's literally right there for us. So like, what are we supposed to do, right? You can make the Caribbean into a federation. I think that's it. I think that's definitely the approach there. And then it seems like they're like freed slaves because it's like Afro-Caribbean. But then again, here's the thing. It could be that because of the way that Victoria 2 is coded and because of the way that the mod was made, that these places weren't actually majority Afro-Caribbean. Okay, so yeah, see, no culture Afro-Caribbean. So then this would have been something else, but then because of the majority population became Afro-Caribbean. Not to say that we can't have that still happen, but we just need to make this right. No culture, African and Libya, Protestant. So this is like, we're going to have to look at the EU4 save, but I don't think that we even have the EU4 save. We could only go off of the thing. And Tommy thankfully did actually show that off, so we have that, so that's good. Whoa, why is Mexico big? I thought it was split into two. Oh yeah, there was an entire like Native American revolt. That's crazy. But let's look over here. So this is a Catholic country, so this country didn't unite Italy. Nova Carthago is Orthodox. They might have united Italy. Genoa is Catholic, they didn't unite Italy. Papal States is Catholic, they didn't unite Italy. Savoy, Catholic. So then who united Italy? I actually don't know how we'd even tell. Did Carthage really unite? That's insane. Wait, was it? No. Sardinia? I have no idea. It's such a weird thing that they're Orthodox. Maybe we just overlooked that, but Free City of Bratislava, yeah. Maybe Byzantium is the Russia this timeline defeated by the Meiji Mongols. I kind of understand where you're going with that, but I feel like these Meiji Mongols, or whatever we want to call them, it would start near China. They would start to modernize from China, and then Russia would try to conquer them. They push back, and they're like, wait, why don't we unite with our kin over here? So then there's this really interesting northern China like this, and they can either go full China or they can go for full Mongol. There might be a problem with Mong Yang and them, and then Japan gets involved. I think that's a really good dynamic. Yeah, but I don't think that the Byzantines would be this in this situation. One of the things I think I am finally willing to reveal, now that we're on the topic of what we think the Byzantines would actually do, everybody knows and loves the Osman's Landing story of those amazing Turkish soldiers that came to fight in the Revolutionary War against the Saxons. It mimics what happened in our history with Poland, Lithuania. Not Poland, Lithuania. Yes, actually. So Poland was being partitioned by all of its neighbors, and then some really elite, like high-ranking military officers tried undoing the partitions, but then they lost and they had to run away to America. And they fought in the Revolutionary War against the British, and I think there's even a legend where one of these Polish soldiers like pushed Washington out of the fire of a British soldier and saved his life. And then when the Polish were fighting the Soviets in the Soviet-Polish War, there were American volunteers there who were helping defend Poland against the communists. So like it went for like an entire century, a favor that several generations ago did for one nation, they returned. What if we did that where the Americans in World War One fight the Byzantines and then help make a Turkish national republic? I don't know if they'd have Constantinople, although it's very Turkish, but they would have Anatolia at the very least. And then what is over here left? What's left over here? Very upset Byzantines. And then we have a similar situation with Germany. So the axis would be Germany and the Byzantines. I think ideologically, even though I think Tommy wants to have Mustache Man in Germany, I think that it might even make more sense for the political situation to be more like Germany and the monarchy here, where there's like Yes Man, who is the prime minister, but there's still a king. But then there's just like Republican, angry German fashion over here, right? Like that could be the dynamic. It could be different. I'm not sure. Is Poland going to be the Northern Kingdom? Sorry, the Northern Kingdom. Do you mean Yarvaland? Because that's awesome. Oh, Northern Kingdom. You mean like Northern Kingdom of China? I think that's what you meant. Is Poland going to be neutral, or are they going to side with another European power? Hold on. I feel like I'm too loud. Am I too loud? Is Poland going to be... Hold on. I'm just going to do it on OBS. Okay. No, that's way too quiet. Alright. Is Poland going to be neutral, or are they going to side with another European power, like Germany, Russia, or even the Byzantine Empire? So I'm not sure about that yet. We need to see who begins the fight and why. If I was France, I would support Poland, because that's what they did in our history. Because of cordon sanitaire, they want Germany to be weak. Right now, Germany could expand into Lithuania. They have them in the sphere. They could go up to the Baltics. They could go into Poland. They could go to Austria. They could go to Hungary. And then France wouldn't be able to really protect them, right? So then British Empire, France, Sweden, containment on Germany, no shipments, they starve out, they peace out, basically. But they could even have a big successes here. Russia, Pan-Slavic could be going against Poland. Byzantine Empire, because of the trends of Germany and maybe even Russia, they go in against Poland. But then Poland fights back, and then Poland could be an interesting state. The Mongolians could be in this fight too. It could be a interesting hybrid of Chinese history and like Chinese Republican Revolution history with all that stuff, and then they fight here, and then I don't know. I think Poland might be like French aligned big, not sure how they'd be big, but they would be an attempt to make buffer states against Germany, and then there could be an expansion option here. Audio's fine? Okay, good. I got a funny idea. If you're going to go off that in the German Empire Byzantine axis, you can flip it on its head by making Germany the Italy of this timeline. Yeah, I think so too. Like, do you mean like competence-wise or governmental style? Because if it's governmental style, you could have kettle huts in Germany still, but under Italian fashion, right? Oh hell nah solo. What was this? Oh, you're just reacting to something he said a while ago. Tommy wanted to fight Castile for the Angola colony, so that could be where America gets an African colony. That's really good information to know. I'm glad that you told me that he had ambitions to this area, because I was already thinking of him having like Liberia, but not Liberia. Like, if people don't know the history of Liberia, Liberia was like freed slaves that went there. So this is way before the Civil War or anything like that. But like, it was like, hey, you want to be free? Go settle this area. And it was like a project, but then they abandoned the project. But then Liberia still existed. So then Liberia is a state, right? And like the president who came up with the initiative was Monroe, I think. And that's why the capital city of Liberia is Monrovia, right? So you could have a similar situation here. Tommy wants to have a colony after the Civil War. The solution to help try to alleviate the issues is, okay, if you don't like the persecution you're having here, go over here and live here instead. Like, sounds terrible, but then again, it's the 1870s. We're not like I'm not here trying to say that this is a good solution. What I am saying is that it's something that an 1870s guy might make, right? Anyway, so then he has a colony here. This could be a dominion, but then in World War One, he could fight Spain, Castile, or whatever you want to call them, and then take their colonies in Africa as like a mandate. So then that's like not, it's like more like the not the British Congo. You know how the Belgian Congo has their own focus tree and it's like different. It could be like a resource area that he has to draw upon, and there could be a conflict that happens in this region too. So yeah, that's a good suggestion. Russia will take Poland, but Mongols will revolt and become independent. Yeah, something like that. There could be an alliance between the hold on, Victoria 2. There could be an alliance, but nope. Is this, what am I listening to right now? Near Replicant is not what I wanted to do. But I guess it matched the aesthetics, so you can't really be mad about that. I'm just listening to more Victoria 2 music. Sorry about that. What were we talking about? Right. So if the Mongols are significant enough, they could be allies, like the Mongols in Poland. It makes sense against Russia. But then what is Russia? Are Russia going to be in the Axis too? It could be a very interesting Molotov-Ribbentrop. Oh, I just had an idea. Poland, Hungary. So I don't know if this really makes sense given the history of the Megacampaign, but I know that the Jagiellons they were like a Lithuanian-Polish dynasty. They had Hungary, they had Poland, they had Lithuania all under one crown, or at least the dynasty. And then it could be like, okay, well, this nation needs to be stronger, so let's unite these nations into, why is that Russian? Why is this just Russian? See what I mean? There's this Russian Empire tag. That's the RUS tag here. Poland has Russian accepted, so that's why it hasn't caused a problem. But like, this is weird, dude. Like, Russian here. American mandate of Turkey, like Wilsonian Armenian. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's like a mandate. It would be more like supporting an independence revolt. But they definitely be like very present in the region, like economic interests. I could see a mandate of Angola be like what they do here, but I like that idea. We should probably consider that. Is South Africa? Yeah, South Africa is a Andalusian colony, but it's Protestant. What is going on? I don't understand. I like this. The Valencia? Okay, this is a thing. This Valencia country is definitely like an exiled tag from Spain, but then because the only territories they had in EU4 were here, it's just like, oh, we're African now. Like, this is what I mean by the Victoria 2 converter. I could rant about it all the time, but let's focus more on figuring out the politics. So I'm going to put this in chicken scratch ideas. Hungarian Polish Union. Just so that there's a stronger state in this region. Austria could become more prominent here too. This little sliver here could go to Venice. Why not? I like how Venice is not Italian. I don't like how Italy is Orthodox. I don't understand why they're Orthodox. Okay, no way. No, that's totally it. You guys. Nova Carthago united Italy. That's insane. You can tell because of the cores here, right? Would it destroy the cores in the Unite Italy? We have to check this. That's insane. We have to incorporate this into the story somehow. Carthaginian Africa. And their capital is in Sicily. And it's Neo-Italian. And which would be Greco. I shouldn't have picked America. Hold on. I can pick America here, but then go over here and click, and then we can see. Yeah, so 21 culture, diplomacy. Where's the decisions? Okay, so right now I'm just gonna quickly zoom out. We're gonna see what I'm talking about when it comes to. Yeah, so look at this. It may seem we have no official language or ethnicity. It's been suicide for administration. Neo-Italian is such primary culture. Now can I form you? Yes, there you go. So then you click here. They have all these claims. Oh my god, no way. I'm actually shocked. How did this country of all countries unite Italy? That is a success story if I ever heard one. I need to start like trying to study this. It's so cool. Oh my god, I'm blown away. So I need to write this down. Nova Carthago united Italy. So then what does this mean? We have a Greek region uniting the Italian peninsula, resisting against this. I thought that the Carthaginians united with the Byzantines. They even conquered Tunis. What if this Byzantine Empire actually controlled Rome? What if this Italy that we see in the end of the game here, this is one of the most fun I've ever had in ages. I love mega campaigns so much. It's like really interesting alternate history because like you can't change the fact that Italy was united by the Carthaginians. And you can't change the fact that the Carthaginians are Greek. You can't change the fact that the Carthaginians are Orthodox and they have a direct relation to the Byzantine Empire. You can't change that. So you have to deal with it. You have to make something out of it. And what are we going to do with this information now? We have to make something out of it. And that's the most interesting part of it all. Exchange between Germany and Italy. Germany take Austria with non-Italian aggressive pact, but Germany give them Lombardy. You mean in like World War II? I could see that. It's like a compromise. Italy formed between 1853 and 1856 when Tommy had plague. Okay, thank you for that information. In 1853 to 1856. So I don't have to look at the VODs. Like I haven't just been watching the videos, guys. I've been watching the VODs just to make sure I get all the information. But this Italy, it could be that they have bad blood with the Byzantines because like they took one of their most populated important regions here. But it could also be that they become friends. Maybe this Italy is just a part of the Byzantine Empire. They try to go up into Venice and then there's an alliance triggered here. I don't know. Like this could be really interesting, guys. Catholic North Italy aligned with France HRE versus South Italy with Byzantium. I agree. I think that's the call. Because the HRE would want Rome, and then like if France is a ultra royalist, yeah, legitimists. So they're reactionary monarchists fighting against constitutionalists and whatever you call the semi-constitutionalists. They are romanticists of the former glory of the Holy Roman Empire. So you have these people going up here, you have them going here, you have them controlling this region, which was a part of the Carolingian region. It's like, there you go. This is the Holy Roman Empire. I'm so sold on this now. Avignon papacy? I mean, maybe, but it's how like it doesn't even need to be Avignon when they take Rome. Like World War I, France takes Rome, gets crowned the Holy Roman Emperor again. There we go. We got one of our biggest hurdles out of the way. Like 100% France is this. But then what happens to Italy? Okay, well, what is this? Abruzzo, 2 Sicilies. So I can imagine that Sicily is like quote-unquote Nova Carthago. This Tunisia is like Greek, Afro-Greek. Okay, interesting. This region here goes to Andalusia because they would control this as a puppet. So then there's this. Maybe, I don't know what we do with Tunisia. Maybe there's a rump southern Italian state, which is the successor to the Nova Carthago. We have the Balkans here under a very not so nice man who then goes in on Turkey, but then because America can't do much. Like maybe it's like FDR isolationism, they can't intervene, so then they just send volunteers. So this is the first proxy conflict, but it's likely that the Byzantines just take this out. If they lose, I don't know what will happen. That could be interesting to see. But they go in here, they try to take this, and then the Anschluss, Italy. Maybe even there isn't a conflict here until later, but it's the first sign of World War II. They invade to try to take this whole area over again. Then the Anschluss is this region here. Then there's a reason for them to go into the Holy Roman Empire. There's a reason for Germany to go into the Holy Roman Empire. There's a reason for Castile to go into the Holy Roman Empire. I think that it would be nice to have a war between Andalusia and Castile to unite Iberia, quote unquote, and then they go from there, just so that the Holy Roman Empire is really screwed. And it could even be that, like, still America can't get involved, but then like French exiles come here and they go, USA, please liberate us, and then that's something that happens in World War II. Italy is a Byzantine play for the region, like Manchukuo play Japan. Oh. Yeah, you know, I totally see what you mean. Yeah, that's smart. That's smart. It could be funny if I name Italy to Lesser Greece. I mean, this lower Italy could be just like a Greco Republic or something, right? Tommy K. VOD Part 2, 228 is the latest one I see. Edicinated Italy. Okay, that is really good information. Thank you very much for that. This is exactly why I wanted to do a stream. Really awesome. What war is happening right now? France is fighting Italy. Italian liberation of Venetian Emilia. Yeah, see, France is already allied with Venice. Magna Graecia. Yeah, that's what this Southern Republic would be, like the Republic of Magna Graecia. But then there's a problem when the Byzantine Greeks try to take it over again, right? So, oh man, I'm so excited for this. I'm gonna start mapping things out before I forget. Okay, there's a lot of yapping. Now, a lot more yapping needs to happen. Mapping needs to happen. So Andalusia definitely going to control this area. This green thing, this was supposed to be like the Italy, but we now know better. Well, I don't know. I'll just hide this layer. What is this? Yeah, this is the Scramble for Africa colony, right? Yeah. Okay. Oh. So this is like weirdly World War I and World War II right now. These colonies were, oh my god. This was a scramble for Africa. Let's just look at the World War II right now. So we have a rump Germany. We have the HRE being reformed. Let's push this border further south. Now that we know that we want their capture of Rome to be what triggers the restoration of the Holy Roman Empire, so that do you even do this? So that there's a complete removal of legitimacy to the Byzantines and a reason for them to expand into Germany. It's just like the perfect claim to push to weaken the losers of the World War. So then, okay, if we know, hold on, I'm gonna write this down too. We know that Germany and Greece were Byzantium were allies and they lost World War I. Russia could have been in their alliance. Poland would have been in their enemy alliance. Also, Connaught would be involved against Russia. So when I usually, when I'm doing my projects, I usually fill out the country really neat and tidy and then highlight everything and then be like, oh, this is the white faction versus the black faction, right? And then I'm able to just look at it for a really long time and start to see things. Because of how nebulous mega campaigns are, it's going to be really difficult to do that. There's a time skip between 1853 to 1856 in Tommy's stream. Oh, really? That's interesting. I think keeping Venice as a French ally would give France a legitimate claim to the HRE. But I think that's cool. Yeah, I mean, I would want the idea of a united peninsula to be kind of restricted, and then Venice is just like a big republic, buffer state. Yeah, like, yeah, I totally agree. So in that case, yeah, let's make sure that we properly depict that and realize that it wasn't depicted. So I usually use a color scheme, but I'm not going to. VEN claim, yeah, I don't worry, I figured. And then this is not Greece, but Greek related, not purple or Roman, maybe not blue. Why am I taking so long to pick a color? Here. This is Magna Graecia. Magna Graecia. Then we have the Andals. I'll say that this colony is World War I, because we know that Tommy would have wanted the colony down there. So then we have Andalusia. So this is the. These are the extent of the Andalusian claims, I think, roughly. Maybe more than that. Let's go here. And then Andalusia is just already in such a really good spot because of the fact that they control the mouth of the Mediterranean. I think that even this entire Australia was supposed to be... No, it was half here. It was interestingly like this half of Andalusia was of Australia was Andalusian, and this half was British. So that's cool. We need to keep that. The revanchist tripartite with Russia, Byzantines, and Germany. That's what it's looking like, and it's a pretty solid faction with no real conflicting claims. So yeah, and then the Khanate would be an ally of Tommy. Then that's awesome. Oh, I love that. And then Scandinavia would be in the alliance. Britain would be in the alliance too, I think. I was trying to think, like, I even had them as Angie here. Like, no, they're not Angie. I kind of like Angie Britain, but I overuse Angie Britain, so we're gonna go Happy Britain. I was gonna put wholesome, but that's too hard to write. Happy! Yay! Is Switzerland going to be a thing, or are they just going to go back to the Kingdom of Switzerland borders in the 1800s? I don't know. There are no Muslims in the USA because Andalusia won the Iberian War, so they went home. But, bro, what are you talking about, man? Is that, like, is that real? I don't deny that could be a lore reason, but I don't know. I like the Andalusians here, and it just doesn't make sense for all of them to leave, right? Like, that's like saying like because the French lost the 13 Years War or whatever it was, the French Quebecois needed to go back to their home country, right? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, there's just people here, so like there'd be people here too. I'm not saying that there's going to be like Andalusian majority south, but like they'd still have enough of a presence in the area to affect the cultural development of the USA in future time. I mean, maybe. I couldn't find where Tommy looked at Europe in 1856. I thought I saw him looking at 1862 in part 3 at 420. Yeah. Term, you're doing a great service for the project. Thank you very much for looking into this. Okay, and then so I have not touched India or Iran. I have no idea what to do. Is Persia isolated in the mountains? Persian, okay, what about you? Assyrian, okay, what are you? Persian, and what are you? Persian. And there's no formable for Persia. So, oh, but they have claims. But these don't. So I think that there'd just be a big Iran. It makes sense to me. But But we need, this is another thing we need to look at the initial cultural map mode for, because of the way that the converter works. Zenids. No culture, yep. And no culture, and no culture, and no culture. So it's just because of the majority culture of the region why they're Persian. So like we can just do anything with this. And these Turks here, it's nice to think that they'd have more in common here. I want the Khanate to take them over, and then these Uyghurs here too. I don't know about Nanfarans. And this is just southern China, so the Manchus. Yeah, I think I'm very Khanate pilled right now. You can have England side with Germany out of fear of France, but if Germany starts losing the war, have England back out, sign a peace with treaty with France, and pull a 1940s Italy. Yeah, I mean, that could work. That's pretty interesting. I didn't realize that Toulouse, France, and Aquitaine were all actually supposed to be separate. Oh, but they have cores. Yeah. So France from the beginning has been a revanchist power. Oh, and they didn't even control... Dude. Absolute Cinema. Hi, next YouTube channel. You should make the Persians a bunch of warlord states. Oh, I actually really like that. I don't know if I'll be able to do that, but I really like that idea. I don't know, something about it. Oh yeah, the Mongol, look. Even here they're Mongols. Dude, like, the Khanate needs to happen, you guys. The Khanate is happening for real, for real. I just did that. The Zoomerism is infecting my mind. It's slowly changing the man I am into something else. I don't know. Okay, what do we have here? Oh yeah, here, British Empire, British Empire. Oh, what, they had this the whole time? You're telling me they had this the whole time? Are you for real? Okay, so they didn't even conquer that? Andalusia is here too. Like, Andalusia is really doing well. Like, they have colonies all over the place. I really like how Andalusia lived this long. The Persian century of humiliation. I mean, yeah, I guess. Could be interesting to have like a communist Iran. But then again, like, Tommy's not going to be involved in Iran, so we don't have to worry about that too much. It's just nice to talk. The Ottoman Empire. Oh, because Turkey. This is what I mean. Like, the converter, I mean, like, they did their best with the conversion, like the way that the converter works, but it doesn't necessarily lend to proper lore. What? No culture. Look at this, and then no wonder this became Ashkenazi city. That's because there's 9% Ashkenazi here, and then all these no cultures just died. Like, there's an event, watch this, where the no cultures just die. Watch. It's like one of those cleanup events, like the one that we saw with... Yeah, look, boom. It even happens here. There's no culture. Dixie, Texan, Yankee, but we become the region of New Hala. So 0% no culture. So then it's just up to whoever controls it. The Ashkenazi here, and there's no core, so then this just keeps being Ashkenazi. This is a core of Hungary, so they become Hungarian, but they become Hungarian really over time because of the amount of people, pops, that need to move into these places. There's one pop here. One pop. Yeah, I don't know. I can rant about Victoria 2 forever. Let's go back to the Photoshop. So we know that we want Russia too, so I'll mark that down. Rump Russia. Russia could be like pan-Slavic. Not really sure how far they'd go with that. I know that they would definitely have a very big disdain for the... Oh, hold on here. It's like this. Like, Rush. Like, that's a very small Russia, and it makes sense why they want to go here, here, like, just go all out. Makes sense to me. It could even be like Russia's a like Hungary-styled Axis-aligned thing, where they just eventually become allies. I'm not sure. What am I planning to do with Denmark? Do you have any idea how they'd carve up Germany if they lost the war with France? I think that Denmark would be a claim of the Scandinavian countries, and like I know I said I'd go back to this, but I'm going back here just to show my point. Bergslagen, Swedish, also Nordic. They would fight Germany and take Jutland. They would probably even try taking the Kiel Canal. Oh, there's a lot of Danes in the Kiel Canal. They definitely do that, and then that could be a conflict that Mustache Man starts here. So yeah, that's why I think that we'd do for Denmark. Tunid had more of Anatolia in 1869, and Italy had Tunis. Yeah, it seems like the Byzantines really just only recently did all these conquests, but I don't expect them to stop anytime soon. They're definitely taking the Teutonids out. If the Persians are communists, they can make a Soviet Union with parts of India and Central Asia. Oh my god. That's awesome. I love that. This is incredible. Iran, communist, and going into India, epic boy. And then it kind of makes sense because they're Jain and they're like pacifists, so they just get immediately run over. And then Mong Yang, like we're having these people be like the Tibet, they could go in here too. What is going on here? India, is India formable? Yeah, that would have been really fun to try to do. I don't want to play this mod now, even though I like don't want to at all, just to try to form all these weird nations with all these claims. Really fun. What's happening in the Far East? Aren't the Siberian people Turkic? Would they be part of the continent? Are these people Turkic? Yakuts? I'm not too sure, but yeah, they could be a part of the continent. Why not? Everybody join the continent. Oh man, we need a name for this continent, because like they would need to be like 1863. Go right into Beijing. Form a rival dynasty, start taking out everybody else, start taking ideas about how to modernize from over here. Britain maybe gets involved because they want to get southern China. Maybe they're in southern China. Maybe a European is in southern China more than these people up here. They go, okay, whatever. They go in, they start taking out places. Russia tries to screw with them. Oh no, that's what it is. Whoever's anti-Russia, but the Russia is not that big of a deal compared to Russia in our history, but whatever. Russia could be going into here, and then whoever's anti-Russia just starts supporting them. Kind of unite with America. What? The continent could be extremely unstable, which Russia could exploit. I agree. I think that something this big, especially if they were like more China-centric, and then the ruling classes start to get these like ideas of unity with their cultural kin, they could be like, let's go all the way over here, dude. And then the Chinese are like, bro, what? And there could be, maybe there's, I don't know if there's a civil war. There could be. And then they'd be fighting over that. And then that's like the Chinese national revolt. That makes sense to me. Let's just put that down somewhere here. So the continent is here. This whole China, wait, I'm not showing you the right thing. This whole Japan thing, yeah, not, well, I actually like the color. I want to keep this color, but I'm just gonna, wait. Japan. And then, nope, that's the color of the ocean. I'll just edit this. There we go. Is Finland going to be neutral? I mean, I kind of like that idea. It can be like a neutral trading republic. I like that. That's nice. But then again, like Scandinavia owning Finland, and then the Baltic, and then this port. That's just so pretty aesthetic-wise. Could you show us the spheres in Europe? Yes, but you'll be surprised. Well, maybe not. There's not much sphering going on. Like, there's this really Transjordania. That's cool. Do they have claims? I guess they're just that little rump thing. Anyway, spheres. Not much going on. Big Finland Pog, I agree. the only way to be able to tell is like there's a sphere battle going on here. Is there a sphere battle going on here? Nope. That's the thing, like, because, and I don't blame the guy, it's hard to code this stuff. It's not, the spheres aren't particularly clear. Why is Poland a great power? Okay, we're just gonna ignore that. Could also be the balancing of the mods incorrect, because it's like, oh, the Byzantines, oh, the blah blah blah, so like, yeah, I'm trying to figure that out. You could have Russia and Scandinavia partition Finland. I like that idea. But then Sweden would be fighting Russia in World War One, so that sort of partition would have to happen before World War One. But then again, it's totally something what Europeans in that era would do. Andalusia used to be in England's sphere in 1870. Really? Did they have a revolt or something? Because I didn't see anything. Yeah, neutral. And now the Byzantines are involved. Okay, so then the British are trying to be influencing the Andalusians. Yeah, so look, we have to really keep swapping over cultures. This is a little frustrating, but Tommy K, start, play. I didn't change. Oh, screw it. Sorry, you guys. I'm getting used to this whole thing here. Really? Okay, it doesn't show. Oh, okay, you know what it is? This Janubi is the English. The Aborigine are the regular. I don't know about Ghanaian, but I think this Australian is actually Muslim. Yeah, Sunni. So anywhere that's Australian is actually Andalusian. So we could do a big retroactive, like, actually this is owned by Andalusia, this is owned by Andalusia, and then this is like some independent republic. 1451 part 4 is when Andalusia used to be England's sphere. Okay, thank you. I like the Dominion of Philippines. We could do that. Just taking another look here, see if there's anything else to note. But yeah, the Andalusians are definitely going to be popping off. But now the question of Middle East, everyone's favorite question. Do we have a Arabia forming? Depends on how big the Byzantines get. Because if they are going to expand into this region, like who owns the Suez? That's the hot topic issue. And then Scramble for Africa, right? Like, the Khalids would just be Byzantines, no matter what. And maybe Egypt and Mudar too. But then, like, what? Does Yemen go up here, conquer these regions, and then form an Arabia? I mean, that could work. What do you guys think about that? Is Romania and any other nation that's inside a bigger empire going to be a thing? Or will it just be an idea in the background? So, like, maybe we'll have a Romania as a core that you can release. But I think that due to the religious and cultural ties of Romania and the Byzantines, just in general, they wouldn't be separate. Like, no World War One partitioner guy would look at that and be like, no, that can't be Byzantine, right? So there could be something that happens in a peace deal, maybe. But I think that they would keep being Byzantine, and then that's good for the Byzantine balance because of the Palessi oil fields, right? So then they actually have a big region of oil, and it's a big problem. Speaking of oil fields, Baku would be just Persian. So then if we do have a communist Persia, then they'd be powerful too. But yeah, communist Persia versus Arabia trying to like unite over here. Yeah, okay, now I definitely see what we're doing with Arabia now. So Arabia would be united by the Yemeni dynasties. I'm going back to Photoshop. Thank you for reminding me. They had like a color like this. Yeah. Men/Arabia. So they'd start off here. I think they own the holy cities in Victoria too. I'm just going to quickly check. No, Egypt does. At least they own... No. Egypt owns Medina. Yemen owns Mecca. So they'd have a claim to Arabia, or at least whatever like that. So they control this, but then due to colonies World War One. Yeah, colonies World War One. Let's just remove this Turkish Republic thing here. Maybe I'll just delete the greenness. Tolerance 1, contiguous, no, delete. So this is World War I, colonial Byzantium. It's like this. So they had this coastal area. They try to endear themselves to the Outremer. The Arabians start pushing up, and they become more and more relevant. Tommy's America, having more of a Muslim-centric foreign policy, or at least sympathetic foreign policy, starts to push their claim. They push up, and after World War I, they try to get this land, but then France won. So then maybe in Palestine, no, not Palestine. The culture here is definitely Mashik, but Lebanon would be a French colony. So I might even try to note that down somewhere. Hold on, I know you guys are talking, but I don't want to forget this. HRE France controls. What is it called again? Lebanon. Could be like a puppet, could not, who knows. But then there's a conflict between Arabia and HRE. Maybe they get involved, who knows. So I'm going to read the comments now. What if Andalusia unites with Spain in World War I, and the obligatory Spanish Civil War becomes Spanish nationalists versus Muslims? I really like the idea. What I was thinking of is that instead of it being a revolter tag, there's just a north-south divide. Maybe one of the conflicts comes with the regions that the Andals took off of Spain in World War I, revolts, and then Spain goes in on the Andalusians, right? Like, I think that makes sense. We could do something like that. But the Persian mountains are too much attrition for the Byzantines, but Mesopotamia is an easy conquest. Yeah, they'd want to go into there too, so it could be that one. That's one of the reasons why they go into Arabia. Between 1872 and 1873, Tunis was a part of the Byzantine Empire, and they conquered Anatolian land. Yeah, they control it by the end of the CF2, but it's nice to know that it was a recent conquest. So we have this Arabia here, and then Iran is hard to conquer. But the problem is that, like, in our history, this entire region was just owned by a company of the British. Like, they could just go anywhere they wanted. But instead, this like, like, this is what we have to work with, is like the European presence. It's kind of frustrating. But we could do something here. They unite. There's like a big warlord period. But I don't think the warlord period would last into 1936. And then we just have something going on there. So, like, I don't know. I really like the Iran ideas, but I also think that we need to focus more on Europe, because I doubt that Tommy would ever land a troop in Iran. But I do really love the Iran versus Khanate thing, and I want to double check that. Also, fight the Khanate. It's a triple clash for dominion over the Middle East. The Persians, the Arabians, and the Byzantines. Yes, and then it kind of comes to a head. The Americans get involved in the Middle East, shocker, and then the Byzantines fall to the Turkish rebellion. There's a weird thing where they're just in Europe only, and then the Middle East is somehow dominated between, like, whoever ends up controlling the mandated Egypt, whatever happens to this region, and then Arabs go in here, France goes in here. It could be that France oh, dude, I got it. France ends up controlling Egypt. Let me see here. So if this is 1936, and these are the colonies here, then we are having the French holdings. The French would control the Byzantine constructed straits. This is Lebanon. They control the Holy Land, and then they control the Suez. and then the HRE is dominant in the Mediterranean, and then Spain could be on the side of the Germans and Byzantines. They could beat the Andals and then go on here. There's an immediate fight for the Mediterranean here. There's just a lot here. There's so much here. What happens to the Andalusian colonies if a civil war occurs? That is something that we need to figure out. Hold on. Because it's nice to say, oh, Spain then conquers Andalusia, but the way Hearts of Iron 4 works, Spain would then control this, this, and this. So it's almost like this fight needs to happen by the time that the Andalusians can join a faction, because then they can be exiled, right? And then exiled government would be something. And then, like, if it is something that happens in World War II, it could be what's emulated in World War One. The Andalusia could be the big landing area for Ptolemy to stage an invasion to get into Europe. So I think that's good. You can hold on. He thought about Angola before 1873. He could call for a revival to the plan to take Angola and the lore. Yeah, I agree. No music, but yes, continue watching, please. You could have India with its own European-like history and wars. The creation of an Indian HRE out of the three biggest kingdoms. I kind of like that idea. It's something to work with. I definitely can see the point of that, but Ptolemy was possible thinking of taking colonies from England and Castile, right? So I don't think they'd end up taking anything off of the British, but they definitely would take something off of Spain. And then Spain would be a major factor in the German, Byzantine, Spanish axis. And then, yeah, I really like how this is turning out. But now, what do we do with this region here? If we have the HRE here, we have the Andalusians here, the Scandinavians and the British are in their faction. Does it just go to Andalusia? I don't know. Do they split it in the middle like that? Maybe. But then there's like the fact that Tunis is just like majority Greek. I don't know. Maybe it's independent. Who knows? It doesn't sound very European though. With him taking Namibia, wanting to take Namibia. Yeah, I can see him wanting to take Namibia. Man, I was yapping for ages. Now I'm starting to run a little dry on ideas. Or maybe Venice takes it. Yeah, there we go. I still got it, you guys. I can go for another 18 hours. This is Venice. Wait. Yeah, whatever. Venice. Venice. Yay. And then this is maybe Magna Graeca. There. This is starting to take shape. Now what? I'm checking Victoria too, but I will not probably be showing it. So here's one of the ideas. I was talking about this earlier in the stream. Let's just I'm not saying we get rid of Mega Finland, but I do think that Scandinavia V2, if Scandinavia won and the Baltics are somehow involved and the Baltics had Scandinavian royalty ruling over all of those lands, wouldn't they want something like this? And then if Finland is still here, that doesn't look pretty. Why don't we just do this? And then it's a nice North Sea empire, really great. Okay, get invaded by the Russians, the Germans, and fucking maybe the British too, who knows? And then that's a whole front of the war that needs to be contended with. Who knows? Yeah, I think it's a good idea, but for now I'll put this back here. Hi Seoshi. Andalusia was invaded in 1873 to 1874 by France. Yeah, like France really actually just pops off. If you compare where they started in 1836 to where they were by the time Tommy ended, they grew a lot. So I really want to have them become the Holy Roman Emperors again. Can you say that because Europe is such a hotspot in this timeline, the most European powers viewed colonies as too risky and costly? Well, hypothetically, yes, but then we need to find out what to do with Africa, and that's really complicated. Like, I'd rather just give it all to a bunch of Europeans. It kind of is frustrating that there isn't more European presence globally because excuse me, because of how that impacts the way that the war in Europe happens when it's a World War II simulator, which is mostly based in Europe, right? So, like, now what? How do we facilitate a conflict? Okay, so here's something that one of the biggest things, and it's probably one of the last things I'll try to address before I have to stop the stream here, because I am getting really tired, is Tommy mentioned that he wants Japan to be big because he's playing America. So that implies that he doesn't just want a European war. He wants a European and a Pacific war. And then it's like, okay, just make Japan big. Yeah, alright, fine, we can do that. But, like, how do we make them big? We have this Conet thing going on for us. Oh my god. No, this whole idea of, like, the Japanese claim it to China thing could actually work out. If the Conet is going to end up being an ally of America somehow, and the Conet is going to be fighting Russia, and Russia is a part of the German faction, the German faction is fighting the Americans, then we have Japan invading China, or having a presence in China already, as a means for them and a reason for them to fight the Conet. The Mandate of Heaven is currently being contested between the Conet, the current sitting mandate, people living in Beijing, and the rising Blah dynasty of Japan. And that dynasty would have, like, it wouldn't be much like the Manchurian really short border but then going into a really large thing. No, like, they'd control most of the eastern coast of China, and then that's how we can integrate the, like, Tibet being relatively large and the other minorities in southwestern China being still around. That makes sense to me. Oh hey, it's Beast in Normandy. How's it going? I think we could have religious-led African colonies, say Catholic Western North Africa, Orthodox Eastern Africa, and Egypt being a real center of the Orthodox world. All made up of, say, religious holy orders. I like the idea, but I don't think that there's a precedent for it. We can look at the religious map mode here. Yeah, so there's not much going on here. I think that this holy order idea makes sense. Oh no, but you're saying about... Yeah, so the French Holy Roman Empire would definitely do that to this region. That could be their justification. It could be like their return to the Crusader state. But that would be Catholic, right? And then the Byzantines, yeah, they're Orthodox. They would run in here. But I think that these people are more like German fashion as compared to Italian fashion. So they wouldn't probably even be religious at all. They'd just be like, I'm just here to conquer. Like, I don't care. Like, who cares? So, like, in that case, that would be a way to effectively resist the Byzantines. But I don't see it being like a center of the Islam of the Orthodox world. I definitely see the French being very unrealistically romanticized in their Egypt thing, and then that becomes a big conflict here where everyone wants to just dismantle it right away. Where would Japan get the majority of its resources from in this timeline? They're planning to go with the USA and the continent. Very good question. I don't know, and that's a plot hole that we need to figure out. Here's Photoshop. So the resources are usually here, right? Like there's a lot of resources in Southeast Asia, and like it's obvious that we'd want to just give them those resources, but it's Japan. They modernized late. They could only realistically start taking resources from those regions later. That's one of the reasons why I was like, oh, well then just make them Chinese, or at least very prominent in China, because China has a lot of resources. It just wasn't being effectively used because they weren't industrialized at this point of history. So if we have a modernizing Japan that controls most of the Chinese resources, they could use all that tungsten to make medium tanks and then do some sick encirclements in the Mongolian steppe with no supply, which we'll fix. Don't worry, Tommy. And then those resources would be that. But then that's majority land-based. Where's the oil going to come from? That's a thing that I don't know. We could try to look at the way that the Southeast Asians are looking in Victoria too, but this is what I mean when I say like there's problems with the fact that it's not Eurocentric enough, is that the British would control the Philippines. Oh, and the British would control Brunei. They already have a landing here. Andalusia would control here. But then we have Andalusia winning the World War One. So like it makes sense for them to go in on all these people to take the resources, right? Like that's just what they did in history. We can do that. But Malacca is pretty big though. Like I don't know. I really don't know how to answer that question. Like that's a plot hole we have to figure out. But like that's one of the reasons why Japan would want to invade South, is the same reason as our history. But the difference is that Japan is a lot more present in China, and then the Khanate and them are directly fighting. So I think that's where we're going to go with that. Can make Japan have its own colonies in China, forming trade pacts and uneasy political deals alliances with China, but not too sure about that. I mean, yeah, that could work. Like they could be not necessarily claiming the mandate of heaven, but using the fact that not many people are fans of the Khanate as a way to get unequal treaties out of them. That makes sense. That's a good way to solve that problem. The Japanese Far East instead of Manchuria, you mean like the Turkic regions up here? Yeah, maybe. How does Central/South Africa look? I ask because you could say that maybe instead of North America, we could have a pilgrim African colony. England is still around and against the Puritans. So I think this is like more EU4 era stuff. This is like Victoria 2, so I'm not entirely sure. But what I can tell you is that like Valencia, the Boers are Spanish. Okay, I need to write this down. The Boers are Spanish. There you go. You have your Christian Catholic colony of whatever here, and there you go. Like, and then that's the reason why if this region gets taken by Tommy, there could be the Axis wanting to take this back. Maybe there's even a like quote unquote Boer revolt here, and then they have to deal with that. And then it's also interesting too, this is Andalusian, South Africa is Andalusian, so then you have Iberian Muslims and Iberian Catholics in South Africa. Aragonese Boer. Yeah, that's a good point. It's Catalonian Boers. Thank you, Time for Chaos. Yeah. So this is definitely a chaos moment here. And then not only are the Boers Catalonians, they're puppets of the Dutch. And the Dutch lose the war on the side of the Germans. So then we have that situation going here too. Ruining the world of talons. And this as well. I mean, yeah, I mean, like, that's their playground, right? Are you going to put more canals anywhere that I should be worried about? Oh, look, Castile owns Malacca, too. And then Castile, okay. If Castile, wait, are Castile losing? Yes, they're losing World War One. If Japan gets involved, they get this. And this has a lot of resources, I think, so. There's plenty of and Netherlands here too. Yeah, we can just give Japan a bunch of little small colonies around here, and it makes sense given everything, right? So there we go. Great. The fact that we found the Victoria 2 save is actually incredible. Like Marco just sent it to me like, I don't know what this is, LOL. And it turns out, hey, it's the actual save game. What's the Ethiopia situation? The Ethiopia situation is that they basically have the same cores and everything as Victoria 2. They're Jewish. Excuse me? No way they're Jewish. Really? I didn't see that in U4. Yeah, Jewish primary religion. That's crazy. What? Coptic? Fetishist. Okay. That is very interesting. So it's a very interesting cornucopia of religions in the Horn of Africa. Can the communists be from Persia to Bangladesh? Oh, that's maybe. And then what's the rest of what you said? So there's a conflict for Indochina with Japan. Yeah, maybe. I could see that potentially happening. Ethiopia could be named to New Israel. Yeah, I like that. Lion of Judah rises. Oh, God. Because German October is coming soon, yeah, I think that it would be in your best interest to end the Talons too soon. Yeah, I really like New Israel. That makes a lot of sense. Make them home to the Horn of Africa and be like a neutral trading republic. Yeah, let's have Ethiopia not get colonized and destroyed by Europeans. Sounds like fun. There's something I do want to show you guys that's incredibly disturbing, and I don't think that can even really be properly conveyed with the Victoria 2. Like, I need to find a way to show you guys the EU4 culture map mode. But if you look here, the culture map mode of this place is pretty crazy. So I think Redwood Ians, this is British. Like, these are British Protestants, right? Then the Paraguayans, oh, these are Catholic. Okay. So this was like, Paraguay was Castile. Chile, Sunni. Falklander. So that's the thing. I think this is like the British have the majority culture, but the majority religion is Islam. So this is like a weird Andalusian English hybrid here. Big revolts for something over here in Bolivia. Bolivia is Sunni. So this is also Andalusian. Peru, Catholic. So this is Spanish. USCA, Catholic, Spanish, and then I think this is all Catholic here. So these borders in South Africa are going to be really hard. In America are going to be really hard to figure out. I don't know what would be happening here. I would like to make one big, like Bolivia, Chile. I don't know. It depends on who gets involved in what wars here, but like, yeah, it could be very interesting. With no context, this sounds wild. Yeah, dude, mega campaigns are just inherently wild anyway, so yeah. We got Lesser Greece and New Israel. This is so peak. Yeah, that's the thing. I love mega campaigns. Why don't people do it more? Well, I mean, it's hard to do, right? But like, there's just so much fun to be had just being like, well, you just pull a random card, but it's not even just a random card. It's like a culmination of like several different calculations made by a computer that you're now in a boat where you have to figure it out, and there's no way around it. It's just like so much fun to do. But yeah, this is how the Byzantines started, and this is basically what their borders will be by the end of it. Or at least the start of World War II, right? So that's crazy. Now I just want to play Victoria 2 all night. But my wife and I have been playing RuneScape. We have a group Iron Man together, and there's a boss that came out recently that is designed for 2 people, and it's exactly at least my level of stats. So we've been playing it together every once in a while, but because of work I haven't been able to do it. But I do want to get a run in or two before I go to bed today, so we might end up finishing off here. But yeah, this save game, finding the save game is one of the best things that could have happened for us. And it might not seem like we spent a lot of time in this Photoshop doc, but we managed to solidify a lot of stuff already. It gives me a lot to work with here, and we can start writing all this stuff to make sure that we have a really good campaign going. I'm really glad that we discovered that the Nova Carthaginians actually united Italy. That's insane. That we could have a really interesting situation here. Maybe they even just get annexed. Like, maybe they're already annexed. Like, who knows? Like, it could be like a rebranding to the Greek Empire, but then they go, no, we're going full Byzantine. And then Russia's going here. The Khanate that being solidified as a real thing is awesome. I love that. And there's a lot of America stuff that I wanted to share with you, but I want to save it for when Tommy actually reveals the mod to all of you guys. I don't know if we'll need more help with this project, but I am interested in seeing if we can get more people on board. I'll have to run it by the powers that be. But I think that this has been extremely helpful. Maybe I'll open a Discord channel on my... Yeah, I want to do that. I'll open a Discord channel on my Discord where everybody can jump in and give some extra ideas from the stream so that we can compile it and go on from there. So, yeah, thank you very much. Hold on, I'm going to see. Byzantine and World War II in the same sentence doesn't sound right. Yeah, I know, right? Maybe name New Israel Kingdom of Sheni. In Hebrew, it means second. Oh, I love that. That's awesome. Will there be a stream tomorrow? I don't think so. I would love to do that. But I am going to be going on a trip relatively soon. I might stream while I'm on the trip. Might not, because the internet connection won't be that good. But I could be spending a lot of my time the next couple of days packing. But I would like to do a stream. This was really fun. And have no king do them waiting for the Messiah. That's awesome. I like that. That's really good. It's probably an Ethiopian empire. Judaism was very important for our Ethiopia. The Lion of Judah was the symbol of the emperors for a long time. Yeah, I mean, goes to show how much I know about Ethiopia. And thank you very much. I appreciate that. It's going to be hard traveling with the kids, but it'll be worth it. Yeah, I don't know how to really end this, but I'm very grateful for everybody coming here and giving these really interesting ideas, and really grateful to Tommy for giving me the opportunity to work on this project. I hope that people are excited as I am to see how this world is coming together. I'm really looking forward to making the lore video for this. And yeah, this is going to take a long time to do. I can imagine it'll be very difficult writing a script for that, but it'll be a really big, solid video for you guys to enjoy. Maybe alongside a Hearts of Iron 4 mod you can play. So yeah, thank you very much for your time. I feel like I want to do these sort of streams a lot more. Really fun talking. Yeah, thank you, Term, for all of your points of reference regarding the VODs. Thank you, Linister, for being so active in the chats. And thank you, what else? Beast Normandy for your comments. Sayoshi for showing up and talking a lot. Come back with milk? Yeah, I will. Don't worry. And yeah, thank you, everyone, again. I hope you have a good day.